lot of different realtors about different things, and what we're and Mike and I as well have been talking about it, and Angel and everybody, but what we're going to try and focus a little bit more on is the more experienced realtors, the guys that are kind of in the room now. For the most part, you guys have been around for a while, you know your way around, but there's a lot of little different changes in the marketplace. I got a lot of calls about listing agreements. And the clause, I don't know what it is, 5I or 5II or 5III, where it says about, you know, if the listing expires and it doesn't sell, that the seller is still liable to pay your commissions for 60 days after the contract expires if it's not listed with another company. So if they go to another agent and list it, then your remuneration is not payable. But if they don't and they sell it, and it says in the contract as a result of your efforts, well, what you know, if you did 10 open houses for the time you had it, and one of those people come back and buy it, then the seller is liable to pay your commissions on that. Most of us waive that. If it hasn't sold in the listing period, you kind of waive that. So, but we can't. One thing we can't do on listing agreements is we can't modify them, because the listing agreement is not only between you and your client and Century 21, but it's also the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. And the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver doesn't want to modify their contract because it affects all of us. You know, if you're buying on the other end and somebody's modified a contract and you're the buyer's agent and they've modified their listing contract with the seller, it could compromise your position and your commissions and so on and so forth. So I've had that conversation with the real estate board. They won't modify those contracts whatsoever. So when you're doing your listing presentations, please, you know, don't go down that route. You know, tell them you're going to talk to me, ask them me about it, what's going to go on. But for the most part, what we've done in those other ones that where it says that they're going to, you know, the seller was reluctant to sign the contract because if the listing contract expired and they didn't list it with somebody else, they're liable to pay our realtor's commission. So what we did in the Schedule A is we said if it doesn't sell within the time period of that, you know, we'll waive the commission on it. We're not going to charge you after the fact. So there's ways around it. We're not changing the contract, but we're modifying the Schedule A. And to that effect as well, one thing about the Schedule A, and I told everybody to do this, the realtors there, is please always put in there that, you know, that you're going to be doing advertising, you're going to be buying floor plans, you're going to be buying photographs, you're going to be doing the Matterport or the dollhouse kind of thing, and you're going to be spending a lot of marketing dollars. And if the seller were to arbitrarily want to cancel the contract, that they're liable to repay you all those costs. And I'd recommend you put that in your Schedule A all the time. And it's just one line at the bottom. And I get calls from you guys all the time again. Oh, they want to delist. What, you know, can I charge them for my fees? Well, you know, you can ask after the fact, or you can put it in your contract. And my recommendation is put it in the contract, have that conversation with them up front when you're doing the listing agreement. Look, if you know, I'm spending a lot of money on this, if you're going to cancel it, all I would ask is that you repay my expenses on that. Does that sound fair to you? And 99.9% of the people say, Doug, that's fair. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem. And then if that does happen for whatever reason, we all think our clients are the best, and then they turn out to be not the best, and you guys get in a fight, and then, you know, you're on, and then you want to charge them for the fees. So by putting that in your Schedule A on all of them, you know, get your custom clauses and put that in your custom clause with your Schedule A, and just have that on all your listings. You're not going to have that problem anymore. And then it's up to you whether or not you want to waive those. If you say to the client, look, you know, you're a great client, you're going to come back. I know it's just a timing matter. It's a problem. You got some, it's Christmas coming up or family issues, whatever. Why don't you give me a call in the spring or in the fall or summer, whatever it is, in a couple of months, we'll relist it and I won't charge you anything for that. And I'll recoup my money that way. So but that leaves that in your ballpark, not in theirs. So you can't, if it's a real acrimonious kind of split up and they've done something and you think there might be something else going on, then, you know, you can certainly charge it and it's in the contract. So use the Schedule A to your advantage. That's one thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start doing a little bit more PDP credit courses on the basics. you know, how to write a contract, what is in your Schedule A, those kind of things to help you guys out. Give you a modified Schedule A, and you can help, you know, change it around to suit you. But things that'll help you, and go through the contract of purchase and sale. You know, sorry, the listing agreement, just so you know what's going on, and go over all those little things that you know we should be doing, but maybe forgot along the way somewhere and stopped doing it. So we're gonna have PDP credit courses on listings, on sales, on writing the contract of purchase and sale, and all the forms that go with it going forward. One of those is kind of today we got, and I was kind of surprised to see this too, is our FINTRACs came out, and some of the guys came to my office and they showed me the credit score, whatever it is on that. You got to do all those little checklists on your clients now on the FINTRAC, and for me, as your managing broker, you know, I happen to be liable for all of that. Not only your contracts and make sure they're okay with BCFSA, but we also have FINTRAC, and and another one out there is CRTC, Canadian Radio and Telecommunications. We did talk about the do not call list and all that a couple of weeks ago, but today we're talking about FINTRAC. So we have 3 regulatory bodies that are looking down at us and checking all of our stuff. That's BCFSA, you all know about them, and that's all of our contracts and real estate stuff. FINTRAC is all about identification and money laundering, so on and so forth, which isn't part of BCFSA. They're a separate entity. And if you've been watching the news lately, I think it's Royal Bank got nailed. Paul, maybe you can help me with this. They got nailed by about, I don't know, 3 or 4 million. I think the TD just got dinged 7 million for improper, you know, whatever they regulate the banks. Do you know anything about that? Did you hear about that? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
yeah, no, I did hear about it. There's more and more of that coming out these days. So banks have always been sort of famous of self-regulating, whereas we have BCFSA sort of breathing down our necks on every move we make. I'll use Royal Bank as an example. I don't think the feds are in there, or the regulators are in there ruffling too many feathers. We're seeing a big one with HSBC right now. That's yet to be determined. That's all over the news, and it's not pretty, but it might get washed under the carpet because RBC bought HSBC. So we'll see how much they want to really expose what's going on. But I mean, banks have always kind of gotten things done that we can't get done in our industry for whatever reason. So it's quite obvious that they march to the beat of their own drum sometimes. And the regulators don't have a lot of time to be walking from branch to branch and auditing files, right? They need to rely on the big banks to sort of self-regulate themselves. So it's out there, it's happening, and we have a different set of rules than they do sometimes, it seems.
Yeah, and my only concern, guys, is it's coming down the pipeline. If they're after the banks now, then that's the easy low-hanging fruit. You know, they'll be looking at us and trying to come at us. And I'm getting a lot more inquiries from BCFSA on different accounts and everything else, and you know, they're having a good look around. They seem to have a lot of time on their hands. So I would expect that you know, we'll probably hear from a FINTRAC somewhere along the line. So what we're doing is just shoring everything up, making sure that we're all doing the right thing along the way, so that if this does come up, that I don't end up in jail. Because if you ever go to a managing brokers thing, I'm so liable for everything, for all of you guys and everything that you're doing. You know, I'm scared to move. Every time I go to my managing broker, you know, legal update, I come home, you know, afraid and scared, and I don't even want to pick up the phone anymore and answer a question because I'm liable for everything. You know, they're going to find me this and find me that, and you know, Mike gets fined, I get fined, you get fined, we all get, and they scare the bejesus out of me every time we go in. So FINTRAC's no different, and I've had the same experience with CRTC in the do not call list, and they came to town one year, and I had to go visit them and sit in the little you know, chair there in front of under the light and answer all these questions. So you know, you got all these guys coming after us. So but you know, for the most part, we're good. We're pretty good, and I want to keep us that way. And just going forward, if you guys would please look to your email. Angel, did you get a chance to send out that handout I sent out later on? Okay, good.
Yes, it's in their email.
Okay, so check your email, and I have a copy of all these FINTRAC forms. And what we're going to be talking about today is there's 4 forms that we're going to look at. One is the individual identification. That's with the new checklist on it. I looked through that checklist briefly, but you're as good at that as mine. We'll go through it together. There's the agent checklist, and Daisy and I, Daisy, are you there? Daisy or conveyancer, we got the agency one is that where you, and this seems to be happening a lot more to everybody, is that we're using outside agents to identify your client. Either they're living in Edmonton or Calgary or wherever, and we need to identify these people because they want to sign a contract with us. So what you can do is send them into another office. And then in that case there, me as managing broker, they sent us a form saying, somebody in Kelowna, I think it was, or Edmonton, I can't remember. They're going to do a remote signing with the guy signing the contract, but they needed to ID them. So the idea there is they come into my office, I meet with them, I look at their ID, identify who they are. I fill out, the agency form. The agency is the connection between our office and their office. And I take a copy of their ID, color copy of their ID, and then I fill out the forms for them and send it back to them. So it's just like the agent being there. Now, any of us can do that as realtors. Anybody in the office can really do that because we're licensed with BCFSA, and you're no different than I am. I have the same licensing that you do, other than I'm a managing broker. So, we can take that ID in as long as we provide it to them. We've done our due diligence. Whether if something goes wrong, I don't know. I mean, we can't predict that, but we can do a minimum due diligence. And that's the other agent getting us to look at their ID form. So that's fine. So we're going to look a little bit about the agent agreement. So you can send those. What I would, if you're going to use one of those, the idea there would be to call the managing broker from whatever office you want to go in, Montreal or wherever the people might be. If there is an office there, you can also use a notary or lawyer if there isn't a C21 office. But I find that for the most part, we have C21 offices all around the world. And wherever you might be, you can probably talk to the managing broker and say, would you mind if I send somebody in so you can check their ID? And they're pretty, FINTRAC is around the world. It's not just Canada. Canada is a part of a bigger agreement with most of the nations in the world, trying to track this money down and all this, nefarious money coming and going out of countries and so on and so forth. So it's not unknown if you talk to somebody in UK or United States or China. I don't know what the rules are, but all of these countries do have an international treaty agreements with regards to FINTRAC, trying to stop that money from moving around going forward. So we do have the agency agreement. You can do that remotely. The other thing we have a lot of that we see in the office is when you have a company that wants to buy something, and that's the corporate FINTRAC. And what we need to do on a corporate FINTRAC is you can talk to Angel, and Angel can pull a company search on it, and they'll tell you you get the corporate certification, you get who the director is, who all the people are on there, and really what usually if it's a smaller mom and pop operation, and probably 95% of them are, where whoever you're talking to is the director and the president and chief cook and bottle washer kind of thing of that company. They own it. Maybe their wife is the secretary or their husband's the secretary or whatever it might be. But it's usually in-house, in-family kind of thing. And you're probably talking to one of the directors, and there's only 2 or 3 of them. In that case there, that should be pretty much good enough. But when you got a bigger corporation, like, I don't know, Ani or somebody like that, I'm not saying that they're going to buy from us, but a larger corporation, you need a little more information on that. You don't want to have the janitor signing for buying a property or selling a property. So you want to know kind of who you're talking to. And articles of incorporation or their banking information, usually the lawyer can get that to you. Who has signing authority in that company? That's really what we're looking for. Is the person that's signing the FINTRAC signing the contract, is that the person that that has the signing authority of that company? That's what we really want to know going forward. So we need to be able to prove that. They're going to have to go to the lawyer and prove who they are and that they have signing authority. So their lawyer in that case ought to have that. And if you're dealing with a corporation or a limited company, they ought to have a lawyer and just say, look, can you have your lawyer send me confirmation of, your articles of incorporation or whatever, showing that you have signing authority on that. So that's kind of what we're looking for. But on a corporate FINTRAC, you need two. You need the individual that's signing, you need a FINTRAC on them, and you need the corporate FINTRAC. So there's two entities to that one there. But it's not, don't be afraid of it. Just, ask Angel, see if you can do a company search. If it's just one individual or, two or three, and there's a director there, that would suffice. You don't really need the signing authority on something like that. But, if it's a larger company, you may need a little bit more and dig a little deeper. But if that's the case, they'll probably have a corporate lawyer that can send you that information. So just ask for it. But we're trying to make sure that we're doing the due diligence there. The final thing is the receipt of funds, and we all do that. And on that one there, I'm going to go through them too with you. I'm going to open them up and we'll share them. But I'm just giving you an overall view of this now. The receipt of funds, just what the big hanger there, you put the name, address, all that other stuff, what it's for, what the address is for. But the main thing that I think people have a problem with is it asks you where the money's coming from. Are there any other accounts affected? And well, they're withdrawing it from their savings account or whatever. That's the thing. So what I always do when I do that, usually 99% of the people are putting, or they were, it's changed now. Maybe Daisy can help me on that one there. But it used to be, we used to do bank drafts all the time. So what we would do is we'd do the bank draft and then put the bank draft number on it, what bank it was from and all that. And then if it came from a personal account, that's where it gets a little tricky. For me to ask my client for their personal banking information, I don't believe I have that right. That's my own personal opinion on that one there. I don't have the right to ask them for their personal banking information, even though FINTRAC requires it. So what I'll put on there is, I'll put I do have a copy of the bank draft. I'll put the bank draft number. The bank is from CIBC, draft or whatever, from so-and-so's personal account at CIBC. That's usually where it's coming from. Nowadays, Daisy, when you get a bank transfer, a wire transfer from the bank, you're on mute, so you may want to unmute that. Do you know that if that I know that when I check all your deals, guys, I'm looking for the deposits, and I confirm that we either have a bank draft or we have a confirmation from the bank that the money's been deposited into our account. Do you know if that has their personal information on it? When they transfer the money from their account to ours, does it have their account number on it? On the bank confirmation? Well, I can't hear you. Anyway, Angel says it does. So in that case there, you can call Daisy and ask for their personal account number and write the personal account number. Anyway, guys, if you do have a bank transfer, doing a wire transfer, we will have their personal banking information. We can't put it on the FINTRAC going forward. Now, from my perspective there as realtors, we can only do so much. I really believe that the bigger part of this is in the banking system. If we're getting a bank draft from CIBC, I'm not going to question that. I'm really not. I mean, what am I going to do? Say, no, your money's, coming for nefarious reason. Where did you get that money? All that kind of stuff. We can only do so much as realtors. We're commissioned salespeople. We make our living off selling these properties, and we're on commission. If it doesn't sell, we don't get paid. So, I mean, I think that the government really has to have a look inward and say, if the bank's taking in the money and they've got deposits in this guy for $2 or $3 million, well, isn't it up to them to ask where they got that money? Why do I have to double check the bank? They're going to just tell me something going forward. So, in some cases, I think they're pushing the envelope on that, and we're all deputies of the government. Well, yeah, we are. We're all looking out for the betterment of our society, and we don't want this money in circulation. And if we see something obvious, we'll call somebody on it. But I think that they got to put a little more emphasis on where the money's coming into these banks, not on the end result when it's coming out. We're assuming that the banking system is solid and they're doing the right job. All right. Any questions
Hey,
so
Doug?
far? Paul, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to add something to that, just to kind of agree with you on what we have to deal with. I've got a file right now with TD Bank, TD Bank client. money sitting in TD Bank for the last 6 months for the down payment. And the TD Bank is asking me to verify source of funds. So they've had the
Yeah.
money sitting in their bank, and as a mortgage broker regulated by BCFSA, I have to get the client to send me a history so I can verify every deposit and explain everything that's gone into that account. So you're right, it's a little bit too much at times, for sure.
Well, a little ass backwards there, Paul. I mean,
Yeah.
are you, what I would ask them for is, do you have, do you have it in writing from the government that says they have to do that? Because I feel you're wrong. You ought to have to do that.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
crazy.
that's their, you took the money in the first place. Well,
Yeah,
why
it's
didn't
been-
you ask them where they got it there? It's not after the fact. So,
Yeah.
guys, we can go back and forth in this and have a beer and talk about it and who's what, who's where, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's me that's going to get fined. So let's just do the paperwork we need to do. And I know we all have our P's and Q's about that, but let's just do it correctly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly run through. Is there any other questions, by the way, out there for now? Go ahead, Robbie.
Yes, so if I have a repeat client I've done the FINTRAC for them on our first purchase, do I need to do a new FINTRAC with this new FINTRAC?
Yeah, Robbie, I do one every time now, and I mean, they're really coming down on this and they want the paperwork. We get audited by BCFSA if we're just passing it on from the old one to the new one. If it's probably within a couple of months, I wouldn't bother, but things change. Licenses expire, passports expire. Make sure that you're rechecking that documentation. It's all up to date, and nothing's changed on it. They haven't changed their name or anything, like if they get married or whatever. Haven't changed their name. Addresses change all the time. Yeah, do please do that. And I mean, it's over and above a little bit, I think, in some cases. But let's do it. I even have guys that are doing their own deals for themselves, throw a FINTRAC into the file, just because I don't want, when we get audited by BCFSA, if there's a FINTRAC missing, it gets red flagged. And I don't want anything red flagged at all. So we just throw one in there, just write your driver's license number on it, put it in there, we got it. Yeah, you're licensed with them. I can't explain that to you, but let's just do it. So again, kind of with Paul there, let's go over and above and beyond here and do a little more than we have to in doing our due diligence, so nobody can criticize what we're doing. And even if we do something wrong, guys, we miss something or whatever, if we've done that, they really can't say we're negligent. We've done due diligence. Maybe we didn't do it right. Well, that's what we got errors and omissions for. Sue me. What do you want? It's a professional thing. I'm not doing anything untoward. It's nothing fraudulent. I just maybe didn't get the right information, put the wrong account number down. I don't know. What do you want? And there's only so much we can do. So, but let's do that. Let's get down to that. So let me pull out the individual one. And Robbie, this is kind of, I think, can answer some of the questions. So I'm going to open that up, and let me just pop this open and share. Can you guys see the individual identification record? This is the new form. So if you scroll up on this, it's the same as the other forms. No big deal. Individual information, transaction, property address, sales rep, your name, our office on it, broker name. Do put your name and the office name on it. And Daisy, if I miss something here, please let me know, because she's always on you guys about missing something. The big thing I miss is I forget to put the broker name in. So it's Doug Foulds, Century 21. Make sure you put both in there. Date information verified, and credit file consulted. Now that brings me to one more thing here. We had one of our agents had a little old lady that didn't have any valid ID. 90 years old, hasn't driven in a few years, didn't have a passport. And I said, look, what we can do is get a copy of her birth certificate. Get a hold of Paul. Maybe Paul can help you out with the credit bureau. And Paul, have you ever done that? You kind of go that way. Have you ever done a FINTRAC with using the credit bureau?
Yeah. However, I need ID for that.
What would a birth certificate do?
Something that, yeah, I could probably justify that with something with their photo on it.
Yeah,
We don't,
what I asked for was, you know, if they could get some new ID. And what we'd use is probably a copy of their, you know, get a copy of their utility bill, a copy of their notice of assessment Revenue Canada, a copy of the birth certificate, and do the best we can. Again, guys, it kind of comes down to due diligence. And, you know, if you can't get proper ID, then let's run a credit bureau. Maybe Paul can get a referral out of it by doing her ID. Maybe they need a mortgage, or the son or kids need a mortgage, or the daughter needs a mortgage, can get some out of, I don't know. You talk to Paul, maybe he can work something out for you. But that's another way to identify them. So if you don't have ID, talk to me and we'll try and figure something else out. It's not the end of the world. What I told that realtor, I said, do the deal, get the deal done. Don't hesitate. We'll work on that ID after the fact. We don't need it before, but we do need it before it closes. So once everything's said and done, they got an accepted offer. Now we can work on getting that identification done properly. So don't cost your deal because you don't have ID. We will get it done, and you will have it done beforehand. Type of document you got, driver's license, passport, birth certificate, notice of assessment Revenue Canada, wherever you got, identification number, jurisdiction. And this is, Robbie, where it comes into document expiry date. If you're using old FINTRACs, they may have expired, addresses may have changed, something could have changed on it. We don't want to do it. Here's some information on the credit file method. And I'm not really going to go into that too much, just going to there is an option on that. Dual process, 2 of the following checkboxes, ascertaining the identity. So confirm individual's name, date of birth by referring to a document source containing, that's the birth certificate. Confirm the individual's name, address by referring to a document source containing individual's name and address. That could be their utility bill, whatever, their NOA, Notice of Assessment Revenue Canada. And if they have bank accounts, maybe a bank statement. And the little old lady will have that. She'll have term deposit. She'll have whatever she has. Once we have all that together, we can only do so much, guys. But please do go through the extra effort of getting it. But talk to me about it going forward. We are required as realtors to identify unrepresented parties, and those in particular, I would be very, very careful about. Unrepresented party, I want to see something a little more tangible on something like that. Remember, you're not working with these people. They walked into your open house, want to drop an offer on a place. We don't know anything about them. I would really want to have a driver's license, a passport, something with picture ID on it that's current from Canada. They come in with a foreign passport. For one thing, we can't sell into foreigners. So you want to have a Canadian ID on that one there. And if not, they better have a darn good reason as why they don't have that ID. And we're going to have to do extra steps to kind of identify them, talk to their bank or whatever, and find a little more information. But as Paul said, the banks aren't even, they take money and they don't even figure out where it's coming from. They ask us for that proof. That's just passing the buck, and it's not fair. So those kind of things that I'd like to have a conversation with FINTRAC people about that, throwing the onus onto us after the fact. Not very fair. Third party record. That's the other one that I'm kind of concerned with at these times. Ask your client if they're purchasing for a third party. This is where the company documents come in. If it's owned by, I think it's 25% is the number. If it's more than 25% or more owned by another entity, or one individual that's not maybe signing, that should be reported. The lawyer should report that, but we should pick that up too. Who owns this company? Is the signing authority? Maybe there's somebody else behind this deal that's doing it. And I think that's probably where the money's going now. The money laundering. They're creating companies and they're buying them under the company name without, and they're trying to skirt around that. So this transparency thing that they're coming up with in BC. They're looking for that third party. From our perspective, the question I get the most is that they go in to buy a pre-sale, they go in to buy whatever, and they tell the realtor, "Hey, I'm buying this for my cousin, not in the country. Is that okay?" No, it's not okay. You're going to have to put that it's for a third party, and that they're a foreigner. And then, of course, that's not allowed. They extended the foreign buyers moratorium for another 2 years. So that could be a problem, but it should also be reported here. Even if they're in the country and they're Canadians, yeah, I'm buying it for my cousin or my mom or my dad. This is where that would go in there. So do ask the question, you know, is the transaction being conducted on behalf of a third party according to the client? Ask the question, guys. Yes or no. If they say no, no. What are you going to do? Oh, you're a liar. I don't believe you. Can't, you know, we're not going to go that route. So due diligence, and, you know, we're going to have to go with that. Describe why you think your client might be have a third party, because they hesitated on saying no. I really don't know what to say there. You know, not our responsibility. So you're going to have to use your own discretion and your own. You know, you're going to have to be diplomatic about it on how to work with that. But you know, if you do think it is a third party, you may want to put that in here. But that's going to cause red flags. We should send that to FINTRAC. You know, they should send an investigator out and have a look at it. I don't know what the. I've never really had one, so I really couldn't tell you how that goes. Third party record, all their information. You got to put that information in there. You really got to do a FINTRAC on them as well. So going forward here, here's the new part. Individual identification record. So you got to ask all these questions. And when I went down to, I cheated. I went right to here and I looked down to which one's the worst. So we've got number 2, number 7, and number 10, and number 9 are bad. So if you go to 2, to your knowledge, does the client have a criminal history in regards to illegal drug trafficking, bribe, fraud, forgery, murder, robbery, counterfeit money, stock manipulation, tax evasion, and copyright infringement? I have no clue, and I've never asked anybody about that. When I've met a client, I've never really had that. But I haven't. Has anybody done one of these? That, I mean, it doesn't say that we have to ask them that. Does anybody? I'll answer the following questions by circling the answer that applies. Well, I really, you know.
And Doug, what about number 4?
Does the client live within 10 kilometers of a border or international airport? Oh, absolutely, yes. Everybody does. I mean, they're kind of ridiculous, you know. So we have to answer them to the best of our knowledge. But I mean, again, are you going to ask your client, have you ever been, you know, charged with copyright infringement? I don't think so. No, and so, you know, for the most part, unless the guy's got a chain and ball around his ankle, I'm gonna pretty much answer no to all this stuff. You know, no, I don't know. I'm not, you know, and it doesn't say I have to answer them. I don't know what you're asking here. You know, I'm not a cop. I'm not a border patrol guy. I can't, you know, they don't have to answer that. You know, what is this, you know, to buy a house? You know, you want to answer that, you have something else, send it to them and answer it. And then put it under affidavit, have them answer these questions at the lawyer under affidavit, and don't put it on our onus on us. But anyway, like I said, guys, I'm just going to shut my mouth and do what I'm told and go with that. So,
I have a question, Doug.
yeah, go ahead.
Number 14, if they send their ID to you, like through a text, would you answer no?
Well, no, if it's non-face-to-face setting, you'd answer yes. You know, but the thing is, Robbie, what you can do there is, we did a little bit of FINTRAC last time, and what they can't do is you can't get on a video conference call on Zoom or Teams or whatever you're doing, WeChat or whatever, Snapchat or whatever it is, and they can't hold their ID up in front of them there, but they can send you a digital copy, take a picture, and send it over to you, text message of their ID, and you can ID them that way. That what the difference is, I don't know. You have a video of the ID, but that's what FINTRAC says. But more importantly, Robbie, I think that I would want to meet them personally, and then have them show me that ID. I really make a point of that. That's one thing that can help us stop that. The other way is, if you can't do it in the same city, I would send them into another office and have them show that ID in person to your agent or the other realtor in Edmonton or Calgary or Montreal, wherever it might be, as best you can. You know, so, but if you didn't see it in person, you can't say that you did. It's the same as our witnessing on the contract. If you're doing it DocuSign, don't sign the witness that you witnessed the deal. You didn't. It's been done in DocuSign. So to answer your question there, if you didn't see it non-face, put it there, but you could also put, you know, I have a copy of it sent via text, and I did a video meeting with them and confirmed that it is them, and so on and so forth. So I would be careful about that. I
Yeah, I
really,
guess I'm wondering,
ahead.
like, so this client is someone you go and you know them in person? Like say they're here and you did your meeting here, but you didn't get their ID till after and they sent it to you in a text. Is that still
That's
no?
okay. I mean, as long as you got it before closing. I mean, you know,
But a yes, then you got it face to face or no?
well, yeah, you got it face, if you got it by text, but you got it face to face. If you guys ever noticed when you signed up with Century 21, I've got a copy of all your IDs. I've seen all of your licenses when you come in there, and I get Angel to photocopy them, and we put them in your BCFSA file, saying that I've seen, and that BCFSA wants a copy of it, and they want a color copy of it. So, and I always send that to BCFSA. So do that, and I have seen them all. You know, I seen it in person, seen your signature. So for you, Robbie, it's okay to get it in text after the fact, but make sure you have a look at it when you're meeting with them. And it's one and the same. Then you can say you did it. What we're trying not to do here, guys, is pop up any red flags. You know what I mean? To the best of our knowledge. You know, if there's something untoward going on, absolutely, we want to report it and put it out there. But for the most part, you know, try and look at their ID. You're not going to get any points for that. What number was that? Number 4 or what was that?
14.
14. So if you answer no, and you go down to the bottom and look at 14, no is 0. So you get no points for that. And I think they're going to have I'm just guessing here, but they're going to have a number. So if it's less than 10, your client is not high risk, no additional steps required. That's where we all really want to be if possible. If we've done our due diligence, we're there, we're not going to get any red flags. If it's 10 or greater, you got a problem. So any one of these big ones here, the 7, 8, 11 are all big ones. 7, 8, and 11. What are they? 7 is the client of foreign PEP or HIQ or a member. I don't even know what a PEP is. Personal. Is that the? I think that's the one about the where they're politically involved. So if they're a mayor, they're you know, they're related to David Eby, they're related to, you know, Sims, the mayor, whatever it is. That's what those are there, and you can click on those to go for there. The other ones are what's the other 10s here? 11 and 8. Has your brokerage previously filed a suspicious transaction or terrorist report on this client? Well, let me tell you guys, if we did, they're not clients anymore. You know what I mean? We don't want them in our office. You don't want to deal with that, you know, going forward. So careful about that. Is the client subject to ministerial directive? And you can look, and I think that's applicable of North Korea. So are we still into North Koreans? I kind of doubt it. Not that I know of, and maybe some of our Korean realtors can answer that, but I doubt they're dealing with North Koreans. I'll tell you that. So I think they've gone over and above here, but nonetheless, it's in our FINTRACs. We have to go through it going forward from there. Again, it's the same as the rest of it is, you know, is it residential, commercial, whatever it is. Measures to be taken to monitor business relationship to keep up to date. Dealt with them a number of times. Just put something in there. For the most part, guys, you know, if you have dealt with them before, put you know, yeah, I sold them a place, residential property in 2010 or something like that. Just put that in there, write that down. So don't just ignore it, but write it in there. Doesn't mean they're high risk anymore. It's just you have a business relationship with them. And read, you know, suspicious transactions. Don't forget if you see something suspicious during the transaction, report to your compliance officer. By the way, guys, I'm your compliance officer. You do anything wrong, I go to jail. So that's why Daisy's so adamant about it, because I keep telling Daisy I'm going to jail if you don't do it right. Ask for the paperwork. So we're going to hound you guys for the paperwork. It's not Daisy's fault. That's my fault. I really take a lot of responsibility as your managing broker, and I really want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence on everything. So when we do ask for a little bit much on the paperwork side, it's not because I want to or I'm trying to give you a hard time. It's because we need to, and we need to show due diligence, and that's Daisy does that on my behalf. If she has any questions or you have any problems with that, give me a call. Not Daisy's issue. So give me a call and say, Doug, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? For the most part, Daisy knows what we need and what we're asking for, so she can answer it. But if you have a problem with it, give me a call. Don't give Daisy a hard time. She's not there to give you guys a hard time. She's doing what she's told to do by me or required by BCFSA. So please be aware of that going forward. Okay, going to close that one down. Let's get into what's this one? The mandatory agent. We just did one of these for another office. I'm going to move that over so you guys can see it. I can't seem to grab this. Can you guys see the identification of mandatory agent? Okay, so this is the brokerages, you know, where the office is, identification and agent, the office and the agent between. It's really self-explanatory. Purpose, service, proves authority, termination, identity. So it's just identifying our relationship between each other, who we are, what we're doing, and then we sign off on that, and then I'm gonna do the FINTRAC on their behalf for them. I'll send them this back along with the FINTRAC going forward. So read through this. If you're working with another office, call the managing broker, say, hey, look, Bill, I've got a client in your city. I wouldn't mind having come by. The managing broker and me, in my case, I always try and accommodate them and tell them, you know, just send whatever you want and have them make an appointment with the office. And if I'm not there, I'll have another realtor in there. You know, Mike is the director of the company. He can sign off on it. Sometimes I'll have Angel do that as my representative there. You know, as long as she's got a photo of the ID and she's seen it and she's my eyes and ears going forward, we can do that as well. So as far as I see, I'm overseeing that. So this is what you're going to use if they're going into another office or they're going into a notary's office. You can use this form as well. A notary is going to cost them. I don't know what I go over and talk to. What's her name? I think it's notarized. It costs me, you know, depending on the relationship with them, anywhere between 25 and $75 to get something notarized. Paul, have you got anything notarized lately? You know what it costs?
It all depends what you're getting notarized, but if it's just a simple form, I don't know, $175.
Oh man, you go to the expensive guys. I find the cheap ones. I go to Wendy around the corner all the time. She does it for free because she knows me.
There's
We send her
nothing
a lot of
cheap.
business.
Nothing
Yeah,
cheap
nothing cheap
downtown
anymore, eh?
Vancouver. It's
Okay,
big
so
rent.
just gonna go your this is your corporate identification. Again, it's got most of the same information. Corporate address, that'll come off company searches. Nature of the business, directors. Oh, by the way, just going back to the personal one. One thing I always get when you go to the personal one, it says what is their you know, what business they're in, what is their profession. Don't just put retired or whatever. Try and be a little more specific. What I've done in the past is that, you know, and again, we're not trying to give you a difficult time, but we do need it for our FINTRAC. And what I did one time is the guy was an accountant. So the realtor was you know, upset they had to say what kind of an account. Well, all I did is I looked the guy up on the internet. His website popped up, told me all about him, what the name of his company was, what the address was, and the whole thing. That's all the realtor had to do. So, you know, do ask your clients, you know, you're retired, what were you doing? Oh, I was a retired teacher for, you know, Vancouver School Board, Edmonton School Board, whatever. Just put that in there. That's all you need to do. You know, just fill it in a little more than nothing. And that's all we're asking for. You know, if they're a retired homemaker, been a homemaker for 40 years, never had a job, whatever. You know, what are you going to do? At least you put something in there. They can't say we didn't answer the question. We asked the question, And that was the answer we got. That's all we can do for it. So do put that in there. So nature of principal business, that's going to be pretty obvious. So I would think on there, name of directors, you can put them down here. Type of verification record, company searches, source of it. You're gonna do an ID on the guy anyway. Driver's license, whatever. And we're going to include a copy of the company search with your FINTRAC on that one there. So we have it. We're going to put that on file. And if anybody comes, did we do that? Yes, we did. Here's a copy of the company searches. Here's your registration and corporation number, corporate record showing authority to bind corporation regarding transaction. That's signing authority. Articles of incorporation do that. Ask the lawyer to send you that. Ask the bank to send you that. What did you give to the bank that you got authorization and signing authority to do that? So who the binding authority is the only tricky thing there. Normally it's if it's a small corporation where it's mom and pop, you put both of the directors there. They're usually on the contract anyway. You've got everything covered. Verification of it, other entity. I don't know what that is. We only do corporate entities, so I don't know what they're talking about here. And you might want to do their website too. Just put the website identity that you looked at the website too on there. Just put their web address. Unrepresented parties, reasonable measures. I would use the other form for the other unrepresented parties. This is corporate ones, but I guess you have this would be for an unrepresented corporation. A little weird. I've never seen one of those before, but if you get we would have to do a corporate company search on the unrepresented corporation, in which case I might want to charge these guys. I would say if you're a corporation and I need to do a company search, I'm going to have to spend $25 on the company search. You're going to have to pay me for that. We're not doing anything for free. So, but you are getting commission on it. So consider that one. But if you're buyers, if it's a buyer and they're unrepresented, you still have to do, and they are a corporation, you still have to do company search and everything else as well. Same as you would on a regular client. So no change for unrepresented parties. Do the same thing. They got the information client risk, answer the following questions. It looks like the same one here. Again, I think they're really overreaching here. How do I know if a corporation has been, tax evasion or company infringement? It's getting a little ridiculous, but do answer the questions best you can. That's all I'm saying here. I'm not going to get into that too much. Do your little add up here and then follow the directions at the bottom as to what you need to do. Write anything down here. Don't feel afraid to use these boxes, guys, if you're there. And if you don't have an answer, you don't have an answer. Write it. I did this. I searched on the internet, couldn't find them. No name or whatever. I searched on the internet. This is their web address. Blah blah. Do something in there if you can. Don't be afraid to write something in there. If we haven't done it correctly, that's better than not doing it all. We've done due diligence. We maybe didn't do it correctly. That's fine. Tariff reports going on forward. That's all we got on that one. I'm going to go into the receipt of records now. Same as we've always been doing here. Information about the property, certified check. We don't take checks. We don't take certified checks. We don't take cash. Please don't take cash. That's probably the biggest red flag out there. If somebody comes in with a bag of money, don't take it. Fill all this in. Usually amount of funds, currency, usually Canadian. If it's a wire transfer, ask Daisy for a copy of the wire transfer, and you can fill that in. By the way, guys, when you're doing wire transfers with your clients, it's very, very important that, and they send you a receipt from their end. Usually they'll give you a copy of their wire transfer. Went into CIBC, they wire transfer the money. The wire transfer is not deemed to be received until we get it in our bank. It's not when they send it from their bank. It's when we get it in our bank. I had one client that went into, I think it was Prosperity Credit Union, had an aunt there, the aunt worked there, was all, good. And they went in there on the Friday. They got me a copy of the wire transfer from it had all the right information on it. It had the wire transfer, whatever the amount was. It was going into our CIBC account, had our account number on it because I gave it to them. All was good. Talked to Daisy on Monday and so Daisy, did we receive that? Yeah, no, didn't receive it. Tuesday, didn't receive it. Wednesday, didn't receive it. Well, now we're into a late, it's the deposit is late. It could jeopardize the deal. So called my client back, said, what's going on here? This is crazy. I mean, what happened? Can you confirm it sent? Talked to his aunt. She filled out all the forms were proper, but for some reason didn't hit the button on it. It didn't get sent out of the bank to CIBC, and we didn't receive it until a Wednesday. Well, we're all in a panic now because now we've got a late, it's the deposit's late. Is the deal still valid? So thank God I talked to the listing agent. I said, look, here's the situation. I did send you a copy of the initial transfer that they sent to me, but it didn't enter into our bank until the Wednesday, so I'm going to have to fill a late deposit receipt. And I sent them a copy saying the deposit's late, and the seller signed off, and the buyer signed off, and everybody's fine. The deal went through as planned, and so on and so forth. So be careful about that. When you're talking to your clients about their deposits, make sure they've got everything lined up and that the money is going to be sent a little bit ahead of time if possible, or as soon as possible, or on your, better yet, on your contract, put on there, will be, if you think there's going to be an issue, within 48 hours after final subject removal or something, or within 2 business days of final subject removal, if you think there might be an issue with the credit union or something like that. Normally, what I'll normally put on my contracts is that the deposit will be paid by way of, and I have this as a custom clause, and I put that so when it comes down to the deposit that I put into my contract purchase sale, deposit will be paid, within 1 business day of final subject removal by way of bank draft, wire transfer, or wire transfer. I think I put that in there, bank wire transfer. So it can be either. They can pay me a deposit. They can do a bank draft, or they can do a wire transfer. I don't really care. But I also have a copy, and Daisy has a copy, and Angel has a copy of the bank transfer information, our CIBC bank account numbers, where the money's to go. And we have, it's kind of confusing sometimes because Nechako Realty Limited owns Century 21, and it could be in both names, but normally I'll just put Century 21 In-Town Realty and Trust. Is that what you put in there? But make sure that if you're doing a wire transfer, it's done soon enough that it's coming into our bank within the timelines that is specified on your contract. Be very, very careful about that. Or what's going to end up happening is you're going to have to do a late deposit form, which is on web forms, and it tells the buyer and the seller that they acknowledge both that the deposit was late. So here also is where I think it's on this page here, accounts that is affected. So what I'm going to do is the number of accounts. Sometimes they don't have that unless you're doing a wire transfer. You can put the number of the account it came out of right there. Name of account holder, it's probably your client. And it was, type of account, I don't know, checking, savings, trust, whatever. But a lot of times they'll put the bank draft here from CIBC under the name of so-and-so. Name of account holder is Mr. Buyer, Mr. Bill Buyer, whatever his name is. And click off as much as you can here, but do put something in here, okay? Just fill these in. That's all I'm saying. Birth date. And here we're doing FINTRAC again on your receipt, but do put that in there because and fill it in. I know it's done on the FINTRAC, but do it on your receipt of information as well. And then the forms are all filled in. If we get audited, I'm going to stop sharing here. Sorry, I kind of rambled on there. It's a long thing. We've covered everything though. That's really what you need to know. But do fill in these forms. If it's NA or non-applicable, do that, kind of thing. But go right to the end of the form, fill it in. You've got all that information at FINTRAC. It's just a matter of paperwork and doing it. We're not going to come back to you and say, hey, we can't send your check out until you get that filled in right. So just take an extra 5 or 10 minutes, go through your paperwork, make sure it's everything's there and done. Taryn, you got a question?
So it's probably along the lines of Robbie's question, but previous client where my client lives here, her elderly dad is on title and he's back east. I helped them buy this property. I'm going to be listing it. do I now need to get him to go? I mean, they're short on money, so sending him to a notary for a $200 bill when I've. So,
Well, why don't you go into an office? Where is he?
yeah, I'll have to figure that out. I can't remember.
Yeah, just find the office nearest by. There's probably one not too far away in a city somewhere. Ask him to drive in there, call the managing broker and say, look, would you mind? I got an elderly client that needs to be ID'd. Would you mind doing that for me? That's all you're doing, really.
And if there's not a Century 21, I can send him to any real estate office.
Yeah, well, I think you can probably even go into a bank or, something like that. If he's got his bank, have his bank guy do it. Go talk to his bank manager and send the bank manager the agency form. And,
Okay.
I mean, a bank manager is just as credible as us, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And he does have a bank, I'm sure, and he probably does have, had the same bank guy for 20 years. They'll
Yeah,
just, okay, Bill, come on in, I'll sign it off for you. That's all they're doing. They're
Okay.
just doing the ID.
Okay.
Hannah, you had a question? I don't know, what do you got here? I can't find my chats. It popped up and disappeared. Have you got your chats?
Yeah, basically just I never have a wire transfer from client before. So how long it takes usually?
Well, usually it's right away. I mean, for the most
Oh.
part, within hours, for the most part, but I'm
Okay.
just saying that, what I was really shocked when I did the deal. I'm a managing broker. I did the deal, and I asked the guy to send me a copy of the receipt. I sent it to the other realtor with the copy that he had been into the bank was from the credit union that has been done, and sent it in. I sent him a copy of it, and then I was shocked to find that on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday it wasn't done. I ended up calling him and said, "What's going on? Why isn't this done?" Somebody forgot to hit the button in the bank. So, all I can say normally, Hannah, is that it's normally right away the same day. But
Okay.
make sure your contract says within 1 business day or 2 business days in case. But be prepared that if Daisy doesn't receive it, it's not deemed received, and call her to make sure she got it. If she hadn't got it,
Okay.
you might want to make arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, does that answer
Yep.
your question?
Yep.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions? We're running overtime here, Mike, so I'm gonna cut off my end here, and that's our little thing on FINTRAC for everybody. Thank you for attending, guys. I really appreciate it. It's important to do these correctly, and your checks come out a little quicker, let me tell you. And we don't have as much hassle. Just go ahead and do it. I know it's painful, but just do it right and we're done. That's it for me, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Kind of dry stuff. I mean, but it's important. Yeah, and like Doug said, is please fill out as much as you can, even in the comment section, because when FINTRAC does come in, they don't care. They're trying to find something. They're trying to get a pound of flesh. So let's be compliant. Let's follow the rules. Lots more paperwork today than there was when Heather and I came into this role in 2005, but that's life and we've accepted it. That's it for us, guys. I think we got a guest speaker coming in next week. I'm just going to talk to Doug about that. We have a couple that are in line, but I don't want to make the announcement until we know exactly who we have coming in. So have a great week, everyone. And need me, just give me a call. Thanks, Doug.
All right, guys. Yeah, always on the phone. Let me know. Oh, by the way, I've signed on to WhatsApp. And if you need to communicate, if you're out of town, I find that's the best way to communicate. I know that I've talked to Puya, I've talked to a couple others that were away, and we're having a hard time on the phone lines. But I've tested WhatsApp, and the phones work really well there. So please make a note of my number. Put me in your thing there if you're out of town or you're traveling or I'm traveling. We can communicate now on WhatsApp. And that's a very effective way of communication. We're trying to up the communications with you guys, give you better access to me and questions that you have going forward. All right. Have a great week, guys. Adios.